Hi everyone, my name is Kei Tyler with Astrology in the Wild. Here we are talking about the upcoming full moon in Pisces and what that could potentially mean for you in the next leading days. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, let's go ahead and get started. So the full moon in Pisces will happen at 7 degrees 25 minutes. So the sun will be at 7 degrees, the moon will be at 7 degrees. And one essence that I believe that this moon is bringing out is redoing all of our words. And so you might be possibly going back on things that you once said or things that you've recently promised, just because maybe you figured out that there's a different way that you would like to proceed. Mars in Libra, it's going to be activating the south node that is currently in the sign of Libra, and we are really trying to get into the connection of how we experience the satisfaction in our lives and around us. How is what we're doing actually bringing a level of satisfaction? And I think a lot of this has to do around work. What kind of work we're doing in the world, whether it be the paid kind or the nonprofit kind. It's really about how we kind of apply ourselves daily, and does it support our wellness, and does it support and make us feel satisfied in life? It's teaching us, Mars and Libra, to be keenly receptive. So you're going to be learning to push forward and or decide now is the time to retreat, be receptive, and wait. So I think a lot of this is going to be a waiting game, as this sun in Virgo really does speed things up. What I would say is this Mars and Libra in this chart is asking you to be very intuitive and to use the divine signs and divine guidance to know when to act. So it's really paying attention to the outer world around you, not your inner personal egoic things, but maybe on a broader spectrum. How is what we're doing? How is what we're thinking? How is what we are putting forth in the world being reciprocated back to? Another thing that is happening with this full moon dynamic is Saturn is right next to the moon in Pisces, and again it'll be there for the rest of this year. It is wanting to kind of break us down a little bit so that we can reveal our natural self. So you might see a lot of breaking down of old personas, a breaking down of maybe how you were perceived previously. You may find people falling from some kind of grace or rising to a really high echelon, being that Pisces and Virgo does kind of deal with our public, not public in a 10th house sense, but public in a global sense. So, fame and things live in the 12th house in Pisces, and Virgo is the balancing act to manage all the details and make sure that you get to that next echelon. Another important great thing about this chart is that Venus is still in the sign of Leo, and Leo of course is a sign that brings up our creativity. It is a sign that helps us be very purposeful and driven towards our satisfaction. Again, Venus means satisfaction. Libra can attest to that. And so with this Libra and Leo energy, there can be a tendency to be very passionate and very in love with your thoughts and ideas about the way that you really want to project yourself into the world. And I know that that's constantly changing for some of you. Others don't really have that constitution. They don't have that evolutionary need or want. Venus will be in Leo all of Virgo season. Little questions I wanted to bring to you. Maybe it'll kind of jot your mind and make you start thinking about the ideas that you're wanting to bring out with this full moon, things that you'd like to have uncovered. The last moon event we had was a new moon in Leo. And when the new moon is occurring, some of our ideas, thoughts, and intentions can be hidden from us. It's waiting until the moon starts to wax open and we are able to handle the information that's coming at us. And the sky is lighting up at night to allow us to pay attention to and awaken to the divine knowing and connection that we're getting. So at that time, did you feel confused about your life? Were you confused about decisions that you've made or conversations that you've had? Because these are key components that you will start to address. So it doesn't matter when you're actually watching this video. If you're watching it now up until the full moon and after, you're going to be kind of dealing with the effects of what was happening during that new moon, what it was trying to uncover for you, what specific details were you dealing with around those days. And that was about 2 weeks ago. So were you certain about a thing 2 weeks ago that is now kind of fizzled out and something else is coming to fruition? Right now, do you feel more clear? And if you do feel more clear, I wonder what helped you get through that clarity. Was it because you have a dedicated practice, like a daily spiritual practice, one where you believe in yourself and you believe in your own guidance, in your own lighthouse? Or were you just kind of like passively waiting for things to come and synchronicity kind of showed you that clarity is here? Well, let's get into the planets. Let's see what those amass for us and the connections that they're trying to get us to point our focus at. Okay. So we did talk about that Saturn was in the sign of Pisces, and Neptune is also in the sign of Pisces. It's a natural sign. And on this day, it is opposing the Sun and Mercury. So what does that even mean? For me, the way I interpret these planetary combinations is, I wonder if we'll be asking questions is like, will there be peace in my life? How can I have a better relationship with myself so that I have better relationships, less drama, less havoc, and more alignment? With Mercury in retrograde, the video will be coming out about this very specific change in our energy. Again, this will be the last Mercury retrograde that we get to before we get to another Earth sign. And so Mercury will be in retrograde in the sign of Virgo. And I have a video coming out about this in specificity, but I think what it's helping us readdress, because retrograde means kind of stepping back, going inside, redoing, rethinking, doing something over again. How is your healthy, productive, and satisfying life a pillar for helping others reach their best selves? So if you are shining as bright as you possibly can you even imagine the light that you can shine on someone else's? That is the reason for the work. It is not for us to go out and just start helping everybody and thinking that we're spreading all of our love. This love and light comes from you dealing with your inner child work, you going to therapy, you doing your daily practices, your physical practice, getting in your body, dealing with your psychological issues. Those are all things that are going to ripple out into the world. It is a ripple effect, dropping a pebble into the abyss, into the middle of the ocean. If you would think that it would just continue to go out and out and out infinitely. And that is why it's so important to work on yourself and have a spiritual practice. And so spiritual practice can look like a lot of different things. It can look like pulling tarot cards in the morning, which I do. It could be giving yourself Reiki if you are a Reiki practitioner, which I do for myself, you know what I'm saying? You could be doing a Kundalini yoga breath work. You could be cleansing your aura with Kundalini practices, which is something that I love to do. Or you could just go for long walks and listen to mantra on your phone. These are all ways, these are all practices, these are all modern ways that we're evolving into to calm our nervous systems and allow us to not sink into the pits of, oh my gosh, I can't control life and I don't know what I'm going to do if I'm being inundated. So that's what these spiritual practices do. So if you feel like you need a dedicated practice to yourself and someone who will show up there with you, I offer personal yoga. If you go to my website, astrologyinthewild.com, you can sign up for a membership. We can get together once a week. We can design yoga that's specific to your birth chart. Or you can just do one class and just see how it feels, see if we're a good fit. And I can teach you, I can show you, we can ritualize things about your life and turn your life into a spiritual practice. All of the things that you love to do. But it's up to you. Physical work is required to help anyone in service and anything peaceful and anything right in the world. You bring up things psychologically in your mind, right? Things happen to you, situations in which you have to use the mind in order to process. Virgo, using the mind to process and see what we've got to do to fix the situation and or improve it. And if you're not using the body, and Virgo really loves to use the body, Virgo definitely means getting into a really great physical condition, improving one's physical condition so they can deal with the things of life, whether they be good, bad, or indifferent. And so in order to be of good light, you need to move the energy in your body, and physical practice is important. Whatever that is, just move. You know what I'm saying? So Virgo, get into your Virgoan body, start working out, start doing your walks, start getting together and moving that energetic prana up and down and in and out so that you can clear yourself. We want to be active and not passive when it comes to that. When it comes to your daily practice, when it comes to re-signing documents, when it comes to changing your mind, when it comes to talking about particular things, you want to be active, not passive, and allow things to just happen. When you know for certain that there is something in particular that has to work, you've thought about the details, you've compartmentalized it, you know exactly where it belongs, then it is time to be active on that. If you are still uncertain, if you do not have a practice, if you do not feel supported, give yourself a little more time. It all kind of needs to ebb and flow with how we are dealing with our lives, and I can't blanket statement any one way of doing things. That's not fair. So I'll talk about the elements of the chart. The elements are earth and water. And when there's too much earth and water, it makes mud. And you could be like mucking through. And the reason why there's mud is because you've reached a new period of change. You're reaching a new awakening to some different things about yourself. And usually when that happens, it brings up some kind of internal crisis that you need to get up and get through. And so this crisis generally will bring details. It'll bring situations in which you can get clear about what you like and don't like. And you can start walking the path of alignment after that kind of turbulence. And so that's just kind of the way life works. Nothing can be perfect. Nothing can remain the same. All we can do is expect for things to change. And so what we want to do is to lessen our reactions that feel terrible, lessen them to the duration, lessen them to the amount of times they happen. And when that happens, when that occurs in our life, we know that we are more aligned with who we are naturally. And that's essentially what we're really looking at for this full moon. Who are you naturally? How do you live your truth? How do you change the details of your life so that you can live you, your purpose, your value, your drive, your space, right? So thinking about all of those elements, that's really good to know. So if you feel uncertainty, if you feel like shit is muddy, know that that is just kind of how things are, and do your best. And I'll talk about it here in a couple minutes, an elemental way to bring balance to this, because we are dealing with how to balance the energies that we're working with instead of leaning on one side to compensate for another. You know what I mean? So we're going to talk a little bit about the sun in Virgo. I have a September horoscope video coming out soon. That's going to have all the details about Virgo season. You can pull out your calendars and we can start to go over kind of some important days during the month, some weeks that might expand your awareness around particular issues, and some planetary alignments that might match your natal chart. So subscribe in order to make sure that you get that notification when it comes through. But hear this. For the month of September, you'll be retracing your steps. And the new moon in Leo brought it with Venus. Venus being retrograde was like, hey, I know you like this thing, but let me tell you, let's go back and let's identify the things that you don't really like about that and how you've been curating a life to make that fit. We need to get clear about our intent, our purpose. And I don't really mean that in the sense of quitting your job and doing everything you do as your purpose. Why do you get up in the morning? Why do you have passions? Why do you like things? Why do you love things? This is what I mean about purpose, about getting clear about those purposes, the reasons why you want to rise to the occasion for those things. You want to be clear about your values, and you want to be able to personally define that. And that is what the sun in Virgo is trying to do, is trying to pull out the details of that, because it could be a very large, grand idea. There was a lot of large, grand energy that was happening last week. It was kind of hard not to get stuck in it, getting tired from it. I mean, we were tired last week, not getting any rest. The sun was hot. We were hot with ideas, hot. And so now we're not necessarily cooling off, but we're getting clear. And we're turning on our fans, because Virgo represents machinery, represents the way things work, represents solving some of the major issues so that we can kind of achieve a level of comfort so that we can reach the next echelon. So that's what Mercury retrograde is trying to help accomplish for us. It's trying to bring out some more details, make us go back and think about what we really wanted. And giving us practical living examples, maybe particular people that you'll run into, maybe you'll take a class, a workshop. I don't know. I think this information is going to come to you in divine timing, where someone's going to be like, hey, I think you need to know this information, and you'll be completely receptive and ready for it, because you're in a moment of self-improvement. You're in a season of changing the dynamics of your life and making things really look good. And so in order to do that, we've got to kind of deal with the hard lessons so that your spiritual self can understand that it's okay to move forward. We're dealing with our spiritual selves here. We're not dealing with just the mundane of life. I need you to realize that life is a spiritual experience. A lot of the things that happen to you are connections of other things, and the things that happen to you up to help you realize that there's another world outside of you, of your personal experience, but one that connects us all, one that makes sense of the hardship, one that helps us get through. So lastly, I wanted to talk about how the body will be affected during this period of time, during the full moon in Pisces at 7 degrees. I think we can agree that the global food system has been super barren, super scarce. It's getting ungodly expensive. I'm seeing a lot of posts about how tired, angry, overworked, underrepresented people are feeling at this moment in time. It's a really difficult time. And when you're dealing with difficulties like that, it's kind of hard to take care. It's really hard to choose yourself. Sometimes you just want to numb out. Sometimes you just want to escape, watch some TV, kind of get your mind off of it. Those things are totally okay. You need to know when those times are needed. But there are times when we need to realize that we need to insert the right nutrients and allow them to fit where they need to go. And so consider supplementation, taking vitamins, drinking teas, minerals, adaptogens, whatever you have that's extra in your cabinets right now, in your medicine cabinets. I know you have extra. Virgo is how much. So if you've been saving any stores of this stuff, bring them out now. It's time to help build your defenses. Take an extra dose of vitamin C. Make sure that you have and are prepared for the extra wellness that you're going to need moving forward, because let's be honest, all of our energy is running and wearing thin. And so giving those nutrients back to your body, being that our food system is not really giving us exactly what we need and how we need it. So take your time. This is not a time to rush. You may be pushed to rush, but I need you to figure out how you're going to slow yourself down, because this could be a time where there could be unforeseen accidents. There could be harsh weather issues that we know that are coming to light right now in Southern California. They're prepping for a hurricane, and that's something that hasn't happened since the 1930s. And so there are things that are happening that we need to be aware of. We cannot be aloof. Lastly, what I wanted to bring to light, the elemental signature that's really going to help us with this is the increase of air and the increase of fire. So using our minds, our creative juices to come up with really, really good ideas. The kind of juicy ideas where you're like, dang, when I tell so-and-so this, they're not going to want to pass up on it. Like that's the energy. And the intense fire and passion that those ideas will bring. You kind of want to be hyped about your life. You want to be hyped about what is going to happen. You want to be hyped about what you have been envisioning, because you have faith it's going to come true. It's practical enough that your spiritual or whatever kind of belief system you have is supporting you until you get to this echelon. And so sun-baked ground is what we want to be on, and so don't stop making things. Don't stop improving yourself in ways that feel good to you. And I hope to bring a conversation with a colleague on the actual full moon. We'll see how she feels. And maybe we could get into some more juicy details about what could specifically be happening for you. If you're a Virgo or a Pisces or have a Pisces moon, contact me. Let's get a reading for you. astrologyinthewild.com. See how this full moon could really activate you. And if not, keep doing your research. Keep doing and being your own inner astrologer. I love you, and I thank you for being here. I wish you all the best of weeks, and happy full moon in Pisces, guys. See you later.
Subscribe.